Happy Boxing Day, Tamers. For those of you that celebrate it, give back to your community where you can. For those of you it's just another Monday, just have a great day and do what you can. So, Bendo's still asking us what our favourite decks were for every colour. And we're 4 days late for this one, but it's green today. And with that being said, we'll start in BT7 with hybrids. Now, hybrids is probably one of the weirdest level 3 searches, whereas you got to pick one or the other. You got to pick one level 4 Digimon or one green Tamer. Now, a lot of the other ones were just very generic of just find a hybrid. And a Tamer. Looking at you, red and blue. But we did also get Beatlemon with the effect of when Digivolving. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one hybrid in its traits and one JP amongst them to your hand, placing the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Which is actually a pretty good card in comparison because just actually being able to find a hybrid either your level 5 or another level 4, as well as replacing the JP you probably just Digivolved onto, is actually pretty darn good. With our second level 4 being Metal Caputerimon. When Digivolving, if a card of hybrid in its traits or JP is in its Digimon's Digivolution cards, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP. This was mostly to ground some of those blockers, but also suspending something later in the game when you have a bigger monster with piercing does make for an interesting game mechanic and tactic to go through with. Now, a lot of people were really interested in this deck, and it was a really cool deck. Metal Bugs look really cool. We go to Rhino Caputerimon, which is if a card with hybrid or insects in its traits is in the Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon can Digivolve into a Digimon with Insectoid or Ten Warriors in its traits in your hand for free memory. It's pretty good. You follow through. You might not. Luckily, this thing doesn't have any inherited effects, but the effects of your big boy would go off, which is your turn. Once per turn, when one of your Digimon with 10 Warriors or hybrid in its traits deletes an opponent's Digimon in play and survives, trash top card of the opponent's security stack. You're hitting for 2 every time, basically. You've just suspended something, you've gone into this, you smack someone in the face. It ain't bad. It's pretty good. I enjoy it. I do wish we get some more support for this stuff, as I do think the stuff outside of blue was a lot more interesting than it was given credit for. Purple had a kind of a cool like recursion effect, which was very interesting. Black didn't see much of anything. It's getting some new support in BT12, I believe, but we could go back and see some retrains, or at least more cards added to these decks. Make them a full deck. I actually would look forward to seeing what green could do, and maybe the new blue version, which isn't just unlocking people, could be good. BT7 also had the gambling deck, which starts off with the level 2 Coromon. When attacking, reveal the top card of your deck and place it at the top or bottom of your deck. Pretty good if you want to just essentially cycle. Got someone here with the on play. You may have one green Digimon card from your hand if you place it at the top of your deck. It's pretty good if you want to start doing crazy shenanigans. Tortmon, which is when attacking, you may reveal one green Digimon card from your hand and place it on top of your deck. Have this Digimon get plus 3,000 DP for the turn. This is on your heritage effect, so when you're going to go into your level 5, so your Mimimon, or Mamemon, you may Digivolve this Digimon into a green Digimon level 6 card amongst them without paying its memory cost. Place your remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Again, nice little bit of cycling. You can do some shenanigans here. This was the green gambling deck. It wasn't the most optimal deck ever, but it had some good plays, and it also would help with other things like the Ebumon as well as the Saber Leo and any of the other expensive level 6s at the time, because a lot of the level 6s during this time period were super duper expensive because they were trying to figure out a way to make green more fair with having hidden potential in the decks. Unfortunately, though, when you make everything expensive and you only have one of those cards, it makes green a very hard deck to continue to play properly. With BT8 came more Pulsemon support, but this time in green, with Bibi being our level 2 for the deck. While all of your Digimon are suspended, this Digimon gains 1,000 DP. We had the new Pulsemon. All turns, this Digimon gets 1,000 DP for each of your other suspended Digimon, which in the deck, once everything's suspended, can get quite chunky. Namakamon. Main, you may suspend this Digimon to reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add one green Digimon card amongst them to your hand, place your remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. You're running a green deck, this makes sense. Some people did kind of run this with Rapidmon, just for some early games or deletion effects. Makes some sense, but not necessarily the greatest. Examon, you may suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then all turns, this one gets 1,000 for each of your other suspended Digimon. Again, chunky boy stacks. Pistamon has a Digisorption 2, so you can suspend something there. And then on your inherited effect, this one gets 1,000 DP for each of your other suspended Digimon. So you can have a very, very high stack. You also climb one as your other level 5. When Digivolving, if this Digimon is suspended, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP to its owner's hand. On your turn, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Awesome. And then Shivamon. While all of your Digimon are suspended, your opponent can't use option cards. Your turn. When this card becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, trash top card of your opponent's security deck. Woo! The deck seems really good. The deck was very functioning out the gate. It was really cool. The biggest thing was it was really good into security control and other cards that would let you nuke it down. The biggest thing about this thing with Shiver is while all of your Digimon are suspended and your opponent can't use option cards, they couldn't fight back, basically. If they had to Digivolve up. If they couldn't punch over you, because all of your effects are when all of your things are suspended, gain X amount of DP, there was a good chance you had a 20k body on the field, and they weren't punching over that. So it did become very interesting. Security control did disappear for a little bit during this time period, and was replaced by Yellow Hybrid with Rapidmon, which is probably why this deck didn't see much play, because it didn't really get to do much during that time period. Unfortunately, security control has come back, so I could see Shivamon actually popping back up again and being more interesting. But again, not always the best time for it to be having fun. That being said, we did get a new Terriermon card during this time period, which makes more sense when you see EX2. And this Terriermon here was on play. You may reveal top 5 cards of your deck, add one card with Gargo or Rapid its name amongst them to your hand. Place your remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Luckily for us, this is just a generic finding of name and not a finding of colour and name, which means it will be very interesting to use in the upcoming EX4 set, which hopefully should be a good set for next year's review of the year. We also had options to the armors in this deck. We had Shurimon as well as Digimon, which unfortunately didn't see any play at all, despite being very interesting cards within themselves. Although, Largemon saw a lot of play this year because the Vmon armor deck is very, very good. Option cards were Samadhi Santi, I'm sure I was getting that wrong, suspend one of your own Digimon, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then Lightning Blade. Give one of your Digimon plus 2000 DP as well as Piercing. Despite what you might think, that's a pretty cool effect. It's just not seen enough in the game to be worthwhile. And we had a green Tamer in the set, Willis. Oh, Willis. On play, you may hatch one Digimon egg card in empty space in your breeding area. That's not terrible, to be fair. Then your turn, when one of your Digimon would Digivolve into a Digimon card with Rapid or Gargamon in its name, you may suspend this Tamer. Choose solution cost by 1. The effect is pretty decent. I just wish it also affected the other side of his Digimon, which would make more sense, as obviously he's the Digimon Tamer of both Lop and Daria. EX2, we did mention a minute ago, brought around a new round of Terriermon cards. Our baby of the set was Gummimon, which is your turn once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw. Interesting effect. Evade is suspending, and Blocker is suspending. So you can draw a card quite often, to be fair. We also got a new Terriermon, which was your turn once per turn when you play a Green Tamer game on memory. It makes sense in a deck that runs Green Tamers. You'd probably run Mimi, as well as Henry, as well as probably Willis in these decks. New Gargamon, your turn when this Digimon would Digivolve. If you have a Green Tamer in play, reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. With this and Willis on the field, you can make Rapidmon a 1-cost Digivolution. And then we have a new Rapidmon. When Digivolving, if you have a Green Tamer in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Awesome. And then once per turn, when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, this Digimon gains security attack plus 1. Oh yeah, baby. Do we have the new Mega Gargamon? Unfortunately, being a 5-cost level 6, didn't really see much play as it's too expensive to really be played efficiently. Although, if you've got that one hidden potential, you can always hope it's in your hand. When Digivolving for each of your Green Tamers in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. They don't unsuspend during your opponent's next suspend phase. That's probably about the only thing going for this deck was the fact that you'd suspend lock your opponents for a turn, so that way they couldn't fight back, or you basically gave them the memory to do anything they wanted on their following turn. Attacking once per turn, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP to its owner's hand. Not the worst thing ever. Giving things back to hands, though, isn't always that awful, especially if the only thing you can pass back is a Searcher. You also get access to Henry in this set, which is your memory setter for the deck. When you attack with a Digimon, with Gargamon or Rapidmon in its name, you may suspend this Tamer to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Pacifism at its best. The card is actually pretty good. It's also a resetter. So all we've got to hope now is actually see if the EX4 Terrier Lopmon deck actually is worthwhile running and seeing if this card actually sees the light of day. You also get access to the Digivolution plugin S, which, side note, is fantastic. If you have a Tamer in play, you'd have to worry about its colour requirements. Main, draw 1, and then you may Digivolve one of your Digimon into a Digimon card in your hand with a Digivolution cost of 3 or less, by paying its Digivolution cost. Cost you 2 or 3, depending on the situation that you're in, depending on what deck you're in. Look at Eureka. And then security reveals up 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card amongst them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order, then add this card to your hand. Whew. Recycling at its best. We also get access to a new card called Parasitemon, which if you'd have watched the newest adaptation to the anime at the time, you'd have seen it during one of the later episodes. At end of attack, you may place this Digimon under one of your Digimon as its bottom Digimon resource, and then security attack +1, and then your Digimon gains 2000 DP for the turn. It sounds pretty decent, to be honest, as just a card, but again, not ever used as far as I'm aware. Let's find a way of getting this out and then having an ability to detach it from the top of the stack and then going underneath a card. Or just go back on your scene for yourself, maybe. BT9 brought more X-Antibody stuff, as you may be aware. We did get access to the Quagamon line, the Okuwagu, as well as Grandis. This now being probably the best beat stick deck in the format. If you want to go tall and strong, Grandis is your champion. Seeing Recursion now with the Black Wargreymon X stuff, as it is a pretty big tough boy and can easily punch down on top of your Black Wargreymon X's. We also have access to more Leomon cards in the X Antibody and in the Panelo level 5. Also treated as a Leomon, which makes it easy to play the Leomon deck if you really wish to. We also got access to Fujin, which is one of the Gate Guardians of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World. Again, card sort, no play whatsoever, besides maybe a bit of a meme. The initial thought is good, but maybe in the future we get more support for machines that make them actually worthwhile and actually playable. And that was it for BT9. BT10, we got access to the Agora line, as well as a new Kukuagamon, level 3. That is actually 0 costing, so you can actually put it straight on top of your baby and actually worry about giving the turn back. We also got access to a new deck line with Plants and Vegetations and Fairies with Bloomlord, which is the Palmon. On play, reveal top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Vegetation or Plant in one of its traits, and 1 card with Fairy amongst them in its traits to your hand. Let's rest the top of your deck in any order. Then you get yourself access to the new Red Veggie, which is a 1 costage evolution or free to play with 3000 DP. A Sunflora that is when Digivolving, by spending one of your green Digimon, including itself, you may play 1 Digimon card with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of its traits, and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. Well, we just got access to 2 of those right here, as well as the Mushroom one. Having access to all these new things to make it easier to do what Bloomlord wanted to do, which we'll get onto soon. We have access to Chairmon, which has Digiabsorption 2, because they've realised that giving something the full cost of Digiabsorption is actually pretty strong. And opponent's turn, once per turn, when an opponent attacks, you may switch the target of the attack to one of your suspended Digimon. That includes itself as well if it is suspended, because you can suspend it if you want to Digivolve something yourself. It is a pseudo goading effect, so you are blocking without having to suspend. Ayatamon, main, once per turn, by suspending one of your green Digimon, you may play 1 Digimon card with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of its traits, and if you have DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. Again, it's a great way to get your searches out very early, as well as some of the floodgates that we have. We do have ourselves access to a new Lotusmon, which is when Digivolving suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. It doesn't suspend during your opponent's next suspend phase. Opponent's turn, all of the other Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, Fairy in the traits again on deletion gain 2 memory, and return 1 Digimon card with 3000 DP or less from your trash to your hand. Again, just go find your searcher. And then we have the new big boss, which was Bloomlord, which is when Digivolving, you may suspend one of your Digimon, then gain 1 memory for each suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of its traits, and you may play. If you gain 2 memory in this effect, let's suspend this Digimon and gain Piercing for the turn. Your turn, for every 2 suspended Digimon you have in play, this Digimon gets 2000 DP and gains Security Attack +1. Fun fact, if you have 3, or 5, or 1 suspended Digimon, and you go to attack with this, you now become suspended, which means that you now gain 2000 DP if you become the additional even number of Digimon suspended, and a security attack, which is pretty fantastic. This deck didn't see a lot of play during its initial run, just because it had a lot of trouble with the fact we didn't see the security rookies, and we know we're getting them in BT12 now. I think a full year after it was released in Japan in the same time frame, which makes it a bit harder because the idea of those was they were finding security and they would suspend with your opponent's Digimon, as well as battling, I believe. We got access to the green level 4 for the beautiful Gammon deck, which is the piercing effect. As you're seeing with Voice, this does let you suck it up and essentially give everything piercing. The Voice is essentially really good. We are getting more stuff in the reprint set, which is RB, but is actually Rising Winds. So I don't know if we'll get changed to Rising Breath maybe, but we will see soon enough. We also got access to Blistimon and its tamer, Zenjiro. Zenjiro is, on play, you may play 1 Blistimon from your hand or from under one of your tamers without paying its memory cost. Your turn, when you play a Digimon with X-Arts inside, by spinning this tamer, gain a memory. Awesome. So you may have just been able to get yourself this in the field for free, play a Blisti for 0, and then get yourself a memory back. And then Blistimon itself is opponent's turn where you have another Digimon with tamer with X-Arts in its name, you gain blocker, on deletion, save. So you can recycle these things. And it also gives piercing if it's underneath a Shoutmon. Not too bad at all from this area here. The only issue we did have was the poor Angoro did not see much play at all, but the other green things in this deck saw some play. But unfortunately, not for the Quagga, though. I think people already had a good level 3 section for the deck itself and essentially just did not add it to the card pool. Finally, for the year, we do have ourselves access to EX3. Now, this did add a few new decks and a few new bits and bobs. We did get ourselves access to the Dracomon line, the new one, the green-blue stuff, which is Examon. Now, Dracomon itself is just a searcher, like the original one. It is on play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Add 1 green and 1 blue card with Dramon in its name and or 1 card with Examon in its name amongst them to your hand. Place remaining at the bottom of the deck. And then, when one of your Digimon with Dragomon or Exa is in its name becomes suspended, this Digimon gains 1000 DP for the turn. Access with this with the baby itself as well, which was in the blue episode, gives you 2000 extra DP on a suspension. Now they are once per turn, so you have to worry about stacking too hard, but that is very interesting nonetheless. We also get access then to the Cordramon, which gives you Blocker, and also gives you the effect on Blocker in its inherited effects. Same with the evolution of Groundramon. Although, your turn Examon in your hand can be treating this Digimon as level 6 during a DNA devolution, which does help get to Examon a little bit faster. At the end of your turn, you may DNA evolve this Digimon with one of your Digimon with Dragon's name into a Digimon card in your hand for the DNA devolution cost. Again, so it does kind of cheat out your level 7, although it does give you the inherited effect of Blocker. A Break Dramon, the level 6 for this deck, on the green side. All turns once per turn when this Digimon becomes suspended, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. All turns once per turn when one of your Digimon with Dramon or Examon in its name deletes an opponent's Digimon. In battle and survives, trash top card of your opponent's security stack. And then, all turns once per turn when one of your Digimon with Dramon or Examon in its name deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, trash top card of your opponent's security stack. Nothing wrong with having this on the field and having this as a devolution source because it's popping things left, right, and centre. And then Examon himself, the big bad. When Digivolving, you may place 1 green or blue Digimon card with Dramon in its name from your hand under this Digimon as its bottom devolution card. When DNA Digivolving, you may play 1 green or blue Digimon card with Dramon in its name and 12,000 DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. Essentially, you go into this from your level 5, so you put the level 6 on the field because you want to have a good time. All turns will return when this Digimon becomes suspended, unsuspended, and suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Examon has seen a lot of play since the latest ban list, and I have to say, I can't blame anyone who's playing this. The deck is fantastic, it's ridiculous, and it is very aggressively annoying, to say the least. Now, whilst we did see from this set is we did see some new cards for the Bloomlord / Hydra deck, which is a new Palmemon. Your turn. When an effect suspends this Digimon, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. We also had a Pokemon in the past, which is you can't play things by effects, which is really good currently in meta because you shut off a lot of the X Heart stuff, you shut off a lot of the Blue Flare, you turn off Aqua deck, you turn off Jesmon, so it's quite interesting Floodgate to have on the field, and it's just generally just a very annoying card that helps out. We also get access to a new Tropiamon, which is when Digivolve with Digimon is suspended, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, which is a pretty fairly good effect. But we ignore that for the new Entmon, which is Digisorption free. So 1 cost Digivolution, then when Digivolving you have 2 more suspended Digimon in play, unsuspend this Digimon, it's fairly good. Then we go on to Hydra. When Digivolving you may suspend 1 Digimon. As you may read that, spend 1 Digimon. You can choose, yours or your opponent's. All turns will return when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended. Each other suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in its traits you have in play gain a memory. End of turn 1%. If you have 2 more suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in one of its traits, turn your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of the owner's deck. Oh no. Fun times for not you. This did add a lot more versatility with the Bloomlord deck. You still go for a massive wide board, but now instead of having to punch down for everything dangerously, you now get to choose if you just want to sort of control the board a bit more. With this and Bloomlord, you do now have a choice of going aggressively or controlly. That's kind of interesting in these kind of decks. But with that being said, guys, thank you very much for being here. I know this was a bit of a different one competitive, which is more jokey, but I thought you guys actually might want a more comprehensive one for green, as green has always had a bit of a rocky road going up and down since its early days of competitive. If you didn't know, the first competitive deck for the BT4 era of card games was actually the Hercules Kabuterimon, as well as the Nidhogg deck variety going around. Control and battle control has been a thing for a long time, and they work out fairly well. So, see you guys soon, hopefully for Black stuff. I'm going to tell you now, Black didn't do very well this year until the end of the year, and then got slapped in the head. But we'll see more about it tomorrow. But peace out and goodbye. If you are new here, though, and you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a hell of a lot. and leave a like if you did enjoy the video itself. If you got this far in the video, you must have enjoyed it, so, please. For your old Pelagito. But, again, happy Boxing Day, and we'll see you guys next episode tomorrow. Peace out, and goodbye.